We're now joined by Avi Melamed, founder and CEO of Inside the Middle East Intelligence Perspectives, a Middle East expert. Thank you very much for being with us. I'm wondering, with the reports this morning, how come only 6 settlers were arrested? We're talking about more than 400. It took hours for the IDF to stop the violence. This is Area C in the West Bank, which means that it is controlled by the IDF. Where was the IDF, and why are not more being arrested?
I don't know exactly where was the IDF, but I can tell you that it's very clear that what we see is very much corrected to what's going on inside Israel. And I'm talking mostly about the fact that today in the center of power of Israel, in the economy, in the constitution, in the homeland security, we have ministers that are coming from the same mindset and the same modus operandi of those hooligans who committed last night this rampage in Huwara. That should be very clear.
We have ministers in the government, and we have quotes yesterday on Twitter by a member of parliament, the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee, who says Huwara should be put on fire. We have the other elected officials in the West Bank that have been calling for similar activities. So what we're seeing, of course, is a reflection, as you say, of what's happening in the government. I do want to ask you about the results of this summit that we saw yesterday in Aqaba, an attempt by Israel and the Palestinians, mediated by the United States, to lower the flames. What do we know about the outcome from there? We've heard an announcement from the United States that Israel has committed to stop construction in the West Bank for the coming 4 months. Of course, ministers from the extreme right here in Israel say, we're going to continue.
Yes, and yet that's another reflection of the schizophrenic government, or sort of government, that we have today in Israel, where on the one hand the prime minister says A and his colleague ministers are saying B. Look, I want to say something in the context of what happened yesterday. Once again, unfortunately, we see a situation when extremists on both sides are dictating the agenda of many, many people, good people, Israelis and Palestinians. I want to say something about the settlers. I'm not a settler myself. Most of the settlers are good people, honest people. You know, I have no doubt that many of the settlers totally resent what these hooligans did last night. This is totally not the way. But at the end of the day, I think that the most important thing to understand here is the wide context, and I have no doubt in my mind. And by the way, the script on the wall for a long period of time. I know this area very well. I met many of those people from this specific area of Huwara, and I'm talking about settlers as well. And it's not surprising. That was a hub and become a hub to a very radical and extreme a group of people that are trying to dictate their way today upon the state of Israel, upon the Palestinians as well. They are gaining momentum with the fact that, as I said before, their brothers to mindset are sitting in the power centers of Israel today. But this is something of a very strong wake-up call for majority of the Israelis, including with the settlers. Because we are looking today at a situation where the state of Israel is facing a very, very severe crisis. But I have no doubt in my mind, and I know that overwhelming majority of the Israelis are moderate, are pragmatic people. They are not radical. Yeah. And they are looking for practical solutions. We are in a phase that, unfortunately, for different circumstances, political one, we find ourselves basically dragged.
Avi Melamed, please stay with us. I think the point has been made clear. Please stay with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back with more on that. On Sunday night, some 450 Israeli settlers returned to the illegal outpost of Evyatar in the West Bank. The settlers issued calls to organize a march to Huwara earlier on Sunday in order to, in their words, seek revenge for the attacks. Otzma Yehudit party, headed by Minister of National Security, has announced that it will hold its party meeting at Evyatar today at 11:30 a.m. But according to reports, the IDF has begun to remove the settlers from that illegal outpost in the early mornings of today. Avi Melamed is still with us, and we're also joined by Samer Sinjinawi. He's a Fatah activist and chairman of Jerusalem Development Fund, joining us from Jerusalem. Thank you very much, both of you, for being with us again on this tough morning. Samer, I want to start with you. What are you hearing from Huwara this morning? What are residents saying about what occurred there overnight?
Well, Ariel, this is not new for us. We as Palestinians, we realize every day our life, in everywhere, every neighborhood, in every village, every street, that the Israeli army is complicit with the settlers, that the Israeli army works for the settlers. And it happens every day. Always we have vandalism. We have terror from the settlers towards Palestinian civilians in every place in the West Bank. It just does not catch the attention of the Israeli media. Last night, because it was so massive, so big, because it came directly after an attack where two Israelis lost their life, it caught the attention of the media. You can imagine if hundreds of Palestinians have tried to angrily invade one of these settlements, what could have happened? We could have ended with 30, 40 bodies. Immediately, the reaction of the army would have been very different. And this is the case that we are trying to say to everybody, to the Israeli society, to the Israeli media, to the international community, that even when it comes to fighting terror, even when it comes to fighting violence, there are two different policies. The army reacts different when it is a Palestinian than when it is a settler. And we are left as Palestinians with nobody to protect us. Even in Area C, they have burned an entire village yesterday. And you have mentioned only 6 arrests, and they will be released soon. Nobody will investigate those who have killed the innocent Palestinian yesterday from Za'atara, 27 years old person, but everybody is in the hunt after this person who have shot at the two Israelis who have been killed. I condemn all violence. I condemn all killings.
Yeah.
But the system should be fair in treating violence and terror on both sides. What's happening here shows the case that the Palestinians are left alone. Everybody is against them. The army see that his obligation is only to protect settlers, not Palestinians. The Palestinians are not worthy victims to the army, to the whole system.
This is indeed ununderstandable to me as well. How come only 6 settlers have been arrested so far of the 400 that lynched this village of Huwara overnight? This came, Samer, just hours after the summit in Aqaba. What are you hearing from the outcomes from that summit? Should we hold our hopes high? Because it seems like we're very close to, I mean, the events of the night are just dreadful, but we're close to something that could erupt into an even harsher clash between the IDF and the Palestinians orchestrated by this government.
Well, this is a loss of effort and time. And these people who represented the Palestinians in that meeting are the most hated people in the Palestinian society, Hussein Sheikh and Majid Faraj. If they have any sense of humanity and responsibility, they should resign and go home, because they are doing nothing. The lack of leadership, the lack of responsibility inside the Palestinian leadership is leading us to this situation. These people simply are totally disconnected from the state. They don't do any real effort to try to change the situation. And they are as responsible as the settlers who have burned the city of Huwara, the village of Huwara yesterday. I call for them to leave. I call for them to be enough Palestinians to say we failed and we continue to fail and we need to leave, but they stick to their leadership position. And it's a waste of effort. I'm sure that it has been enough for the secretary of Ronald Barr to send a WhatsApp message to Hussein Sheikh and Majid Faraj to tell them what they need to do. They don't need to convene them in Aqaba.
Yeah.
Because these people, they feel that they are totally loyal to what comes from the Israeli side towards them, because their existence depends on the protection they get from the Israeli side.
Avi Melamed, yeah. I want to turn back to Avi Melamed. Summer, please stay with us. Avi, what can Israel do at the moment to prevent a heightened, even heightened conflict in the West Bank? Or is it in the interest of this government, considering the judicial overhaul that is taking place simultaneously, that conflict increases in the West Bank?
Well, there are a couple of measures that should be taken, in different levels. First, in the most immediate level, in terms of security cooperation, in terms of calming down the situation on the ground, the dialogue has to continue despite of these very difficult and challenging circumstances. We simply cannot allow extremists on both sides to continue and to dictate our life. So this dialogue has to continue. And there is something very interesting. I listened to what my distinguished guest Samer said, and I was thinking there are two common denominators today for Israelis and Palestinians. The common denominator is that first, most of Israelis and Palestinians are not extreme. They are looking for a way to live in the end of the day side by side. Unfortunately, their life are being dictated by extremists on both sides. So this is one common denominator. And the second common denominator is that both Israelis and Palestinians are experiencing a very significant leadership crisis. We see that on the Palestinian side, we see that on the Israeli side. Mr. Samer called for the resignation of some senior people within Fatah. And actually, I could duplicate in a way that call, and I would say to the Prime Minister of Israel, Mr. Netanyahu, you should step down, you should resign, because things are definitely going out of control. You lost control over the situation. Your agenda is being dictated by people that their mindset is not much different from the people's mindset that those who conducted last night rampage in Huwara. It's about time the people of Israel, the real people of Israel, majority of the Israelis, including majority of the settlers, will take back responsibility in their hands and will not allow to demagogues, to radical politicians to continue and to dictate their life. You cannot simply do it.
Avi Melamed, thank you very much. Summer Sinjilawi, thank you also.